I love that. I love that hat. Incredible.
I thought we'd do a little bit more patriotic music.
Well, it has to be. It has to be
Copyrighted, yeah.
royalty free. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a another episode of Schmidt Lavelle, a short episode, kind of I guess a holiday episode, if you will, Tim.
You know what this is, Tom? This is a short break for our listeners to really tune in and see what we're all about. Because this is really a big reveal for us. You know,
Yeah, you know what, I kind of agree. It's something. It's going to say a lot about each of us, our choices,
yes.
our decisions, and really where we stand
Mm-hmm.
on the hot issues. And the hot issue that we are talking about today is none other than the summer blockbuster. Tim and
Tom, the
I,
summer.
yes,
No, I'm sorry. You're about to go. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
that's okay. Tim and I will be naming our top 5 summer blockbusters. Now, for those of you listening, this isn't like a contest of what had the most sales, what had the highest sales. This is my top 5 and Tim's top 5. You can agree or disagree, that's fine, but we're choosing it on what we feel like is the top 5, our top 5 summer blockbusters, not to be confused with the top 5 box office ringing, if that makes sense, Tim. Am I making
Correct. Right.
sense?
No. You're hitting it right on the head. And we're doing this in light of Fourth of July, Tom. It's a celebration for many people, and what's synonymous with Fourth of July is the summer blockbuster. It's going down to the shore. It's spending time with your family and barbecuing, and one of those things that is very prevalent with the holiday is going to the movies. Just like, hey, going to the movies on Christmas Day is also very, very popular thing amongst in Americana, if you will. And the summer blockbuster is has been around for quite some time. We're going to get into a little bit of that, which is, might appear on my top 5. But without further ado, Tom, I think we should just get right into it. Why don't we reveal our top 5 right now? Why don't we start with number 5, Tom, and why don't you start with your number 5 movie?
I'm going to start with my number 5. A very popular movie, very a lot of catchphrases, released in the summer of 1994,
Hmm.
with stars such as Sally Field, Gary Sinise, Robin Wright, and Tom Hanks. I'm talking about none other than Forrest Gump. Forrest
Oh,
Gump, I remember seeing it in the theater, packed house, incredible viewing experience. Everyone loved it. I'm sure today, when you see someone running, there's a chance you might hear, "Run, Forrest, run." A saying that
no,
was
great.
that was talked about years and years to come. Tim, I'd dare to say that me and you go together like peas and carrots.
We kind of do. We do. Solid choice for number 5.
Thank you.
For me, Tom. This is a lot of these blockbusters. For me, um, the original started, and then you see the sequels follow afterwards, right around the same time. And for me, number 5 was back in I think it was 87. Um, a Saturday Night Live, you know, sketch comedian ended up with his own movie, and that was Eddie Murphy, and that was Beverly Hills Cop.
Wow. I love Beverly's Hill Cop. And also, do 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 do
Oh,
do do
great,
do
great
do do
soundtrack.
do
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
do
Yeah,
do do do. I'm a big
and
Beverly Hills Cop fan. That's a great pull, Tim. I love that movie.
and it's a stick and click, as we like to refer to on some of these movies, right, for us. And
Right?
it's an excellent movie. They get stuck in, and Beverly Hills Cop 2 ensued, and then Beverly Hills Cop 3, which was not good at all. But most of these movies fall or debut right around the 4th of July. And the first one was excellent.
Incredible movie. And if you haven't, if my wife is one that wasn't raised on movies. Me and Tim, we've been growing up with movies like this, our whole lives, and really have a love and passion for all these classic movies that we've seen, seems like 100 times. And that's one that people who aren't in the know might not know about. Still a great watch today. If you haven't checked out Beverly Hills Cop, or you haven't seen it in a while, give it a watch. It's incredible. Balky's in that. Him and Balky
One
have
and two.
their
One and
yeah,
two.
yeah. One and
Take
two.
them both out.
All right. So I'm gonna go with my number 4 pick. Number 4. This movie, Tim, was released back in 2008. The summer of 2008. Starring Mr. Morgan Freeman, Gary Oldman, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Michael Caine, Aaron Eckhart, Christian Bale, and Heath
Oh,
Ledger. I'm
oh,
going with The Dark Knight.
yeah. Oh, dude.
Incredible movie. Definite for me, click and stick. Saw it in the theater. I mean, I don't think I've ever been more excited to see a movie with everything and tragic loss of Heath Ledger. The first movie, then going into this, and I tell you what, that movie hit every spot for me. Incredible movie. Loved it. Start to finish. I really enjoyed The Dark Knight, and talk about a major hit. I mean, that movie was a major fucking hit.
So one of the first comic book movies to recognize a great actor. Heath Ledger won the Best Supporting Actor award, Academy Award for that film. Posthumously,
You're the
as you
words
just
guy.
mentioned. Yep. And it was from start to finish, just a work of art. Christopher Nolan, director. Um, and then he went on to release a third installment of the Batman film, which was The Dark Knight Rises, which is also a summer blockbuster, but none better than The Dark Knight, as you just suggested. One of the best, in my opinion, comic book movies of all time.
I agree. I mean, you could argue. I mean, I'm a huge Avengers guy, but I mean, you could argue that's number 1. I mean, it's so freaking good. It is so good.
Absolutely.
Uh,
All right, so my fourth, I think we got a little internet connection here issue.
I've been seeing a bit of a lag. There hasn't been too much, and for people out there listening, please, bear with us. But I think we're doing okay. I've only seen a little bit so far.
I think it might be our virtual backgrounds. They're just too patriotic.
How incredible are these virtual backgrounds, by the way? You know what I mean? I
Well,
wish I
not,
had a silver dollar to toss at you right now. That's what he threw in the water,
um,
right? A silver dollar, Tim?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. All right. So my number 4 movie, which is a movie from 1993.
Oh, oh no. Don't
And
you
it's
dare.
No, I'm
Go
not
ahead.
going there. I think that I think I know what you're thinking about, but it's a movie that really was just it took the world by storm, and it portrayed the human race with something that hasn't been seen in over 165 million years, and that is Jurassic Park, Tom.
Tim,
Jurassic, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
Jurassic Park was for me something that I've no one's ever seen on the silver screen like we saw it in 93 by Steven Spielberg. Um yeah, it had such great, and it's still going on to this day. They've remade it a handful of times, and uh, what we saw then was just unbelievable. There's a scene in the movie where Sam Neill the actor finally sees he's a I think he's like a paleontologist in the movie, and he finally sees a dinosaur alive after researching these animals for years and years and years, and he sees legitimate dinosaurs roaming the earth, and it was just unbelievable. And everyone knows, the scene with the water cup, right? The
Yep.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's just an iconic scene. One of the best summer blockbusters, I think, of all time. It falls at number 4 because I think there's 3 other movies obviously better, but my top 5 list is littered with Steven Spielberg. So let's go.
Well, Tim, that was my number one pick. Spoiler alert, was
Oh
Jurassic
no,
Park.
you went number 1 with Jurassic, huh?
I, Tim, Jurassic Park was my first in theater, like, wow moment. Like, I remember seeing
Holy
that
shit.
as a kid and just being like blown away by Jurassic Park. It was so good. I mean, and you think about, you can watch it now and it's still great. In 1993, we went there. We went to the theater. We watched it, and it was like at that time I was 9 years old, and it was like I'm just or 10 years old, and I'm just getting like my first dive into these kinds of movies too. You know what I mean? Like some of them were more too mature for me and stuff like that. But I was like right at that age where my parents were probably like, should we take him to see this or not? You know what I mean? And man, what
Well,
an
it was also
incredible
it
movie.
was all it was also one of those movies at Blockbuster that you could not find.
Yeah.
You go to Blockbuster, and if you rent it out, and you'd be sitting there waiting for someone to return it, and it just would never show up. But yeah, that was my number 4. So where you at with number 3, Tom?
With number three, man. Now you threw a curveball at me there with number three. But my number three, we're gonna go with a movie that came out. This movie came out in, when is it? The 80s. I can't get the exact year right now. Starring Kelly McGillis, Val Kilmer,
Mm,
Tom
mm,
Skerritt, Anthony Edwards,
mm.
Tim Robbins for a brief spot, and of course, Mr. Tom Cruise. I'm talking about Top Gun. If there's
Top
not a
Gun.
more blockbuster movie than Top Gun, obviously the success of Maverick, the second installment of Top Gun, was, last year, one of the most popular movies in theater history. Top Gun, an all-time classic to me. I love that movie. When I see that movie on, I turn it on. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and nothing says summer to me like Top Gun and Summer Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. No, I love Top Gun. Obviously has everything to do with Americana right there. Yeah, from start to finish, it's red, white, and blue through, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the definition of a summer blockbuster, you have these people in line waiting to see it, and certainly Maverick had that cachet too. The sequel, which was quintessentially the most successful sequel of all time. Um, Tom, my number 3 movie is a war movie.
Ooh.
Again, Steven Spielberg, and it's Saving Private Ryan. And you know, you again, summer blockbuster, Matt Damon, Tom Hanks. I mean,
A
Ted
laundry
Danson's in
list.
it.
Barry
I mean,
Pepper, isn't he in that?
yeah, Barry Pepper. Um, what's his Caparzo is played by what's his face? Vin Diesel.
Oh
Uh
yeah.
there's
Tom
just
Sizemore, Edward
yep,
Burns.
yeah, yeah.
Incredible,
And
incredible, like movie, incredible cast.
it's the first movie that
Giovanni
we've seen.
Ribisi,
Yep.
Ted Danson, Paul
I
Giamatti.
said that. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's the first movie that we've ever seen really in the trenches, with the sound and just like the graphic kind of cinematography that you get in terms of like just a war. Like it's the closest really depiction of what war was actually like. And it was fantastic. Did I say Matt Damon was in it too as well? I think I did.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was just a fantastic movie from start to finish. I say that a lot of these movies that I love, but I mean that's what makes a
I
good movie,
mean,
Tom.
it's an all-time classic. That's Tim too. Not only blockbuster, that's like a guy's movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's a man's movie right there. And everyone that like you talk to any guy, like real guy out there, and you say, "What's your favorite movie?" That's comes in at like that's always mentioned. You know, everyone says
there's
Saving
there's
Private Ryan, The Godfather,
there's
stuff like that.
there's three movies, war movies that always come up. It's Braveheart, it's Gladiator, and it's Saving Private Ryan. And there's that's I think the undisputed list, really.
Yeah,
Um, so let me move into number two, Tom, since your number one's gone.
right.
My number two movie, blockbusters of all time. Again, another Steven Spielberg movie, and I think the final sequel is out right now in movie theaters. It's Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Uh,
Ooh.
Indiana Jones for me has been something of a personal favorite for my life. There's not a time that I've turned on the USA Network or any other channel that has had Indiana Jones on, and I can't stop watching. This dude has been through, decades of fighting the Nazis. He's been looking for artifacts. The dude's got a whip, a gun, and a hat, and he's the coolest dude in the room all the time. He's like the American James Bond. The dude is the shit. And I don't give a shit that he's 80 years old and he's still doing it now. I can't wait to see the film. But Indiana Jones for me was always like just a folk hero that I loved. And it's always been a summer blockbuster. I remember my dad taking me to see Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade up at Plymouth Meeting. Okay. My dad
Right.
was driving a Subaru at the time. There was a torrential downpour, and my dad drove through like 5 feet of water, and the water came up, and we were all soaked in the Subaru going to the movie
Ah,
just to get to see. It was like we were Indiana Jones, like for
ah,
that, like
dun, dun, dun,
it was like
dun, dun, dun,
it was
dun.
45 seconds. It was, dude, it reminded me of like Pitfall Adventure, like, the Atari game, if you ever played that. It was just something of my childhood that I just cling to. And like, I always wanted to be Indiana Jones. Like, you don the hat, you don the leather jacket, the whip, and you
Yes.
were just like, dude, as a kid looking for like snakes and stuff like that. Like, it just felt like Indiana Jones, whatever. But it's one of my favorite movies. And for me, my number two summer blockbuster of all time.
Now, I think that there's a story out there, Tim, that I don't know if it was Harrison Ford was trying to be James Bond or George Lucas wanted to direct James Bond and they shot him down. So he created Indiana Jones. Does that make sense? Have you heard this story?
I never heard that story. I will tell you a little piece of cinematic fact. So there's a scene in Indiana Jones, and you might recall this, where Maid or not Maid Mary. Look where I'm at. I'm at Prince of Thieves.
Mm.
Marion, his love interest in the movie, is captured by the Nazis, and he's trying to fight through the town. And he runs into a sword wielding, um, I guess Egyptian, and they were supposed to film this huge fight scene between this guy and Indiana Jones. And that day, Harrison Ford could not get off the toilet. He had dysentery and he just couldn't film the fight scene. So he suggested to George Lucas that he just, when this dude does his sword antics,
Yeah.
as you see in the film, that he just takes out his gun and shoots him. And that's how that scene came about.
What a great scene too. Oh my gosh. Funny how things work out.
Yeah.
That's awesome because that's a very memorable scene in that movie, you know. In fact, I
Absolutely.
want to say that that scene's been kind of stolen in several movies since then too, where people are doing all these crazy things, and then a guy just gives them a big punch and that's it, or something like that, and
Yep.
pulls out a gun. Tim,
Yep.
I'm gonna, I know you named my number one, which was Jurassic Park, but I have some honorable mentions here. I might just slide one in. Does that sound good?
Yeah, go ahead. Fire away.
All right, so I'm gonna go with number two now. I'm gonna say a movie that came out 1998, all-star cast. One of the biggest all-star casts you could have. You got Michael Clark Duncan, Owen Wilson, William Fichtner, Will Patton,
Oh,
Steve
shit.
Buscemi, Liv
Ah,
Tyler, Ben
that's
Affleck, Billy Bob Thornton, and Bruce Willis. I'm talking about Armageddon. Incredible movie. Talk about summer blockbusters. And I want to say, Tim, I want to say that this movie in that era came out at a time. I want to say we were peak summer blockbuster. There was like a 5 year stretch there that I
yeah.
want to say was the peak of summer blockbuster. And with the way that's like, technology and streaming and all that stuff is now, I don't think
Yep.
you get movies that everyone goes and sees and everyone watches. And Armageddon, from start to finish, is a great movie. A little unbelievable, but who cares? Suspend
Hey,
disbelief for a second.
AJ,
Enjoy the
I
ride.
only got 5 words for you. Damn glad to see you, boy.
I want to give this patch to the daughter of the bravest man I ever met in my life. Harry, I love you now. Harry, oh my God. And she's looking at the
Solid.
screen and it goes to the white, the snow, as she's
Yep.
uh, take care of my baby girl, AJ. What a movie.
The
There's like six countdowns to the end of the world. They barely
Yep.
escape. I could go through the whole thing, but Armageddon, another great movie theater experience for me and an incredible movie from start to finish. Highly entertaining Armageddon.
And Tom, my number one movie of all time is my favorite movie of all time, which is widely considered as the creator of the summer blockbuster, which is Jaws.
Wow. Great pick.
Jaws Jaws is my number one. Actually, Tom, I watched it last night. It's on Peacock right now. All the Jaws collection is on there. I suggest you get on there and you rewatch. There's just so many quotable like scenes in that film where you're just like, dude. And the story behind Jaws is just unbelievable. I mean, they made this giant mechanical shark, right, which is almost 25 foot long, and the thing wouldn't work in the ocean.
Hmm.
And they had to come up with a different way of shooting the film without the shark. So they're making a film about the shark, and Steven Spielberg comes up with the brilliant idea of not showing the shark the entire film for the most part, right? And he's creating this just new way of shooting a horror film by just creating just like an insanely just detailed like description of something that you don't even see throughout the entire film, but you're just innately scared of it because of what it's doing, right? All you see is like, what's happening to these people that are getting mauled to death, and you're like, holy shit, what are we looking at here? Like, what are we dealing with here? And it just creates a fear in the audience. And the film itself was just incredible. The crowds that have turned out for this, dude. If you look into it, I swear to God, if you look just through the history and just everything that went into making this film, it's just unbelievable what they came up with and
Right.
how successful it was. It's one of the best films I've ever seen.
It's an incredible movie, a historical movie, and like just it's a movie that like changed movies too, and then obviously the young career of Steven Spielberg and everything from that. And I thoroughly enjoy that movie, and obviously is a great pick for your number one. Now, Tim, I'm gonna slide one in here for my for my last just suggestion if I could. I just want to say,
Sure.
if you're out there listening, good morning. In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others from around the world, and you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind. Mankind. That word should have a new meaning for all of us today. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interests. Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July, and you will once again be fighting for our freedom, not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. We are fighting for our right to live, to exist. And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day the
Yep.
world declared in one voice. We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day. Tim, I'm putting Independence Day as the number one summer blockbuster in the history of summer blockbusters. Are you with me?
I think Randy Quaid is, no doubt about it.
What a great
Bye.
movie that is. Yeah. Incredible movie, highly entertaining. Obviously I'm throwing that in there because Jurassic Park was my number one pick. That was one of
Yo,
my
but listen,
honorable mentions, I would say.
there are so many other honorable mentions. Ghostbusters was a
Oh,
summer blockbuster. Die
Back to the
Hard was a
Future,
summer blockbuster. Back to the Future, The
Gladiator.
Fugitive, which we both love,
Yes.
Gladiator, like these movies. I mean, it's what defines Americana around the 4th of July. Spider-Man. Um,
But dare I say, Tim, here's one for me. I had almost made it in my top five. The Lion King. I know it may sound weird, but when The Lion King came out, dude, it was huge when I was a kid. I went to the theater twice to see that movie. Just saying.
wait, the new one or the young
The
the
original,
actual
Hakuna
cartoon?
Matata, the,
Ah,
the,
okay.
the cartoon. Lion King was a major hit.
Means no words.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Mufasa was it until
There's a
Scar.
very underrated movie that I really love. I see all the time, which is the Truman Show, which I love. Was another summer blockbuster. One of Jim Carrey's more serious roles, but you know,
And
I
ahead
still
of its
prefer Die Hard.
time, I think, Tim. I don't think I enjoyed that movie as much then as I do now, if that makes sense. It's a great movie.
What would you rather watch, the Truman Show or Ed TV with Matthew McConaughey?
Ooh, I love McConaughey.
Same type
Uh,
of movie.
it
Same type of movie.
is. I would say that, Truman Show is a little more, Ed TV is more of your romantic comedy. You know what I mean? The Truman Show is like, it's deep. It's a deep movie, It's very good though.
Deep cuts. Yeah.
But Timmy, I think we should just give a message now to all of the Schmidt Lavellites out there, all of our listeners and followers that are listening. We just want to wish you all a very happy 4th of July, Independence Day. Enjoy yourselves, enjoy your family, your friends. Have a cold beverage, barbecue, fireworks. Anything you want to say, Timmy?
I reiterate that, Tom, and I just wish that if you're out there and maybe you find yourself around the fire or around the barbecue and looking for something to listen to, and why don't you switch over to Tom, the Schmidt Lavelle show, and tune in, because I guarantee you're going to find a nice hour of pure entertainment, some laughs, some cries, maybe you want to comment or like on us.
Tim, what a great suggestion. And I'm going to reiterate what you just said. If you're liking what we're doing, please leave us a like, a share, a follow. Tell your friends at the barbecue this 4th of July. Hey, you heard this Schmidt and Lavelle? These guys they got it. Whatever it is, they got it. Talk about two
We got
patriots doing something to celebrate life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Am I right, Tim?
That's right. I am certainly happy right now.
All right, so this was just a fun episode we're putting out. Don't worry. Schmidt and Lavelle, the regularly aired show, will be coming out this week later on. We hope you enjoyed our little bonus holiday episode. And Tim, I guess we should give them the good old Truman Show goodbye. You think you could hit us with that one?
And to all of my people out there, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Right?
I love it. God bless America. God bless the 4th of July. And God bless you, our loyal friends and listeners. Until next time, this is Tom Lavelle signing off for Mr. Timothy Schmidt. Have a great 4th of July.